input in my life, as well as the privilege has been to have an input in your church as well. I'm excited about this week because I believe that there's something fresh. I'm not a person who kind of feels like, well, God's only doing one thing in every season, or this is the season what God's doing and he's not doing anything else. I am a prophetic person, and I have a lot of respect for the prophetic community, what we've been taught in the prophetic community. But sometimes what God has used to reveal something new to us, we've used to limit us, to keep us from what he wants to show us next. So in other words, like if Revelation creates a lid for you, then it actually becomes limitation, not limitless. And Revelation is never supposed to be limited. You know, like he said, he wants my ceiling to be his floor. Well, I don't have a ceiling because I live under an open heaven. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I know that teaching and everything, but we can use a revelation that someone had, like the next generation, our ceiling should be the next generation's floor. But then that actually creates a mindset that I have a ceiling. When did Jesus ever say we had a ceiling? He didn't create the world with a ceiling. He created it with a sky that was limitless. That's why we say the sky is the limit. And if that's the environment he created, that's the environment I want to live in, right? So we can't let a truth that we see that's a revelation be a limit as well. So sometimes in the prophetic we say, well, God's doing this in this season, and he may be. Most of the things that God is doing are just things that we become aware that he's already done, and then we say, oh, God's doing that. Like, when is salvation available? Today, right? The day of salvation is always today. Every single day is the day of salvation. It's always been for 2,000 years. Since Jesus died on the cross, that next day was the day of salvation. And every day since has been a day of salvation. Why is not everybody walking in the day of salvation? Because they didn't know it's available to them. But the moment they know it's available and they step into it by faith, guess what? That's the day of salvation for them. So when's the day of healing? The day that you become aware of it and you step into it. So many times what we say God is doing is just us going, oh, God did that, now I can do it. And there's many of you that are waiting for God to give you permission to do things that God's saying, I'm waiting for you to give yourself permission to do it. Because you've already got it, you know? I was telling people this today that, you know, there are things inside of you that God is already doing. You don't know he's doing until all of a sudden you do it and you go, oh, wow, God just did that. Well, no, God really did that a long time ago. You just did it now. Like, you just understood God was doing it. So when I got off the airplane yesterday and at BWI, I was going to the curb to get picked up by my ride, and a man approached me with a cell phone talking in another language. And I was on the phone because I was dealing with a problem with my car up in Connecticut. So I was on the phone there, and he's talking to me with his cell phone in another language, and I understood it to be Spanish, even though I didn't understand what he was saying. I said, "Un momento," which I knew I could say, because I have a very small vocabulary in Spanish, but I know how to say un momento. So I said, un momento, and he was very patient. And then he starts, as soon as I got off the phone, he really starts in with Spanish. And I'm thinking, oh no, because I know a little Spanish. God put some seeds in me of Spanish when I was young. I had 5 years in starting in junior high and then high school. And I had my family brought in a bunch of young people, but we had some Cuban guys that lived with us for about 3 years, and I became their translator because they moved in with us the first week that I started Spanish. So I guess my family thought I'd be the translator since I could say the Spanish alphabet, and they couldn't say anything. So he comes up talking to me, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to understand anything. I understood everything perfectly what he was saying. He's saying, I just got here from Santo Domingo. My daughter's supposed to pick me up, but she doesn't know that I'm here, and can you call her? So I went to grab his phone. He said, no, you call her with your phone, because he said it in Spanish. You know, this phone only works in Santo Domingo. So I called her. I understood the guy in Spanish. I told him, yes, I'll call your daughter. I called her, told her in Spanish where her father would be waiting for her, asked her how long it would be. She told me 15 minutes, and so I told him in Spanish it'd be 15 minutes, and I thought, this is awesome. I could solve a problem in English with this phone and solve a problem in Spanish in this phone. This is great. I didn't even know how to solve problems in Spanish. Then God steps in, gives me a word of knowledge in Spanish. I pray for the guy in Spanish, and he gets healed in Spanish, which is really cool too. And I didn't know God could use me to heal in Spanish because I never tried it before. So what's the day I learned to heal in Spanish? The day that I talk Spanish. That's the day. And there's many of you that are waiting to go to a next level, and God's like, well, you're ready for the next level. You just don't know it yet. You know, and this is really what I believe God is doing for us.